You're listening to a Soul One podcast.
Okay, we're gonna have a super short episode here, Taylor, because I have to go do things.
And I just couldn't stop talking about Stranger Things.
Yeah, we're we're doing a double recording here, really behind the curtains. But we don't have a lot of time, but we do have a couple movies we want to review because we saw some stuff over the holidays. We got to catch up. I saw the Anaconda remake, 2025. And Taylor, you saw the Knives Out movie that I wanted to see, but didn't have time to see over the holidays.
I saw Knives Out 3, and maybe I'll save this review for another day, Mike. We'll see. But I also saw oh my gosh, I'm going to get this wrong. It's a weird title. Song Sung Blues. Nope,
Yeah.
Song Sung Blue, which is a Neil Diamond song.
Yeah.
So if we don't have time for that, I can save it for another day. But yes, I saw Knives Out 3. One of my most anticipated movies of 2025. I know I didn't talk about it a lot this year, but mostly because I forgot that it was in production.
Yeah, that one certainly shocked me when I saw the first trailer. I'm like, what is this? But it'll be interesting. Either you'll talk about it today or another episode as we keep watching kind of new movies. But a lot of these end of 2025 movies is what we're on now. Things that got released over the holidays, things that are sneaking in for that awards consideration as well. We'll see lots of those reviews over the next couple of weeks. Except for my movie Anaconda. I don't think that's gonna have an award or anything.
Fan favorite, maybe, or not?
I don't know. You'd have to be pretty delusional, but we'll see. We'll get to that. And I will say this episode is coming out just after our deadline for the fan questions that we announced. We were doing a fan question episode that will be next week's episode. So just so you know, if you still want to write in a fan question, feel free. It won't make it on the 22nd, but we'll try to include it in upcoming episodes. We can maybe do like one or two per episode. We do end up, Taylor, sometimes getting too many anyway. So we don't mind doing fan questions every week if they're out there. But we wanted to put that call out that fan questions can come in still if you want us to answer any of your questions about our many reviews. Maybe you want to talk about what we said about Stranger Things. I don't know.
Yeah, whatever. Or it's a movie we've never heard about, because that happens sometimes too.
More likely that one. We often get that. But yeah, let's review some movies here. Do you want to start with Knives Out 3, Taylor? And then how long you talk about that will dictate how long we have for other things.
Okay, sounds good. Knives Out 3. So this is the third movie in the Knives Out franchise, directed by, or how do you say his name? Ryan Johnson?
Ryan, yeah.
R-I-A-N. I've never said it out
Ryan,
loud.
Yeah.
Knives Out 1, I would say was a pretty huge phenomena. I thought it was very good. One of the best movies of that year. Knives Out 2, I think Netflix bought the franchise, or the movie moved to Netflix around the pandemic. I thought Knives Out 2 quite bad, not good.
Yeah.
Knives
certainly
Out,
like I enjoyed it, but certainly it was not
weak.
anything compared to the first one. A lot weaker. There was some weirdness. There's a lot more weirdness, I thought, in that one. Yeah.
This one, to me, Knives Out 3 was a return to form. It's the full title is Wake Up Dead Man, a Knives Out movie, although most people are just calling it Knives Out 3. Of course, Daniel Craig returns as Benoit Blanc, the private investigator. This has Josh Brolin playing a older Catholic priest. And it also, like all of the Knives Out movie, it has a pretty stacked cast. You got Glenn Close playing the housekeeper, Kaylee Spaney, which is the only woman I'm not familiar with. She's one of the side characters. Mila Kunis plays the police chief. Andrew Scott is an embittered novelist. Thomas Hayden Church, who I know from Buffy, two
Oh
episodes
yes.
in a row, I get to talk about Buffy. He plays sort of the groundskeeper. Jeremy Renner, Mike, I don't know if this is his first movie back from his accident, but it's the first movie I've seen him back
Yes, I
after
think this.
his.
I think it is. Like I think this is the first one back. Yeah.
He plays a Dr. Daryl McCormick. I also am not familiar with is Cy Draven. I'm trying to get to the young. Why I'm listing all these people is because I'm trying to get to the other lead, Josh O'Connor playing the younger priest. I'm
Josh
sorry, and I missed
O'Connor.
a couple people in between, but that's because I was
Yeah.
trying to get to Josh O'Connor. So the premise of this one is that Josh O'Connor, his character is a Father Judd. He is a young priest who gets into a little bit of trouble, and so, but his bishop likes him, so he gets relocated to a parish with Josh Brolin's character, who is a problem priest. And the idea is that the younger priest will try to temper out the older priest,
Mm.
and then a murder mystery ensues.
Mm.
So, you, Mike, I love a movie that combines some of my interests, Catholicism
Hmm.
being one of them, and so I thought this was quite a fun movie to watch on multiple levels. I This movie is kind of a hard movie to talk about because it is a murder mystery, so you don't want to give too much away. I thought I watched it with Dan. Dan also really enjoyed it. I anticipated who the murderer was going to be very shortly from the movie starting, but it wasn't how the murder didn't end up being the way I thought it would be, or for what motive. So that
Mm.
in itself is kind of a bit of a reveal, because I find with the Knives Out movies, at least with the first one, um that one was very twisty. I felt like the second one wasn't as twisty. I'm pretty sure I predicted the murderer very quickly as well. And then in this one I did, but not for the reasons that I thought. So I found it was well acted, it was funny. This movie, I can't remember with the second one, Mike, but Benoit Blanc doesn't come on the scene until 20 minutes, 25 minutes into the movie,
Mm.
which I thought was effective. You know, this is the third movie we're seeing Daniel Craig. It's nice to mix it up a little bit. Yeah, I really don't have complaints about this movie. I thought it was funny. It is a dark comedy. I just want to give a warning because movies I think are funny are not always mainstream funny, but you probably get the sense if you've watched Knives Out 1 and 2, you can expect some dark humor. Would you agree, Mike?
Yeah. Without a doubt. Like I think you have to go into assuming that's exactly what you're going to get.
Yeah. There's a little bit I can't remember so much with the second movie. This movie is a little bit more political, I guess you could say, than I would like my movies typically, which might get me into some hot water.
Hmm.
But overall, I think it was handled okay. Um, I think movies now, I gotta be careful how I say this, Mike. I think movies now are sometimes more political than they need to be for the story, if that
Mm.
makes sense. Like it's a little bit like too on the nose, if that makes sense. Like in a
Yeah.
couple years, will the movie feel dated because you're bringing up political issues that are like so of our time? I don't know.
Right.
That's a personal opinion, and I know people feel very strongly about their politics, and we live in a social landscape where people like their movies political, and if they're not political, people get upset. So
But you
I
do see that
respect
where
that.
people are like, sometimes it's too political, sometimes it's not political enough, sometimes people didn't go too far. Like you see that rhetoric all the time.
Yeah,
So yeah, I get what you're saying.
it's just like for me personally, I could have done without some of the themes, and I think I still would have liked it. People were like, "Oh, what do you?" Because some people were complaining about the political aspect of this movie, and they're like, "What are you complaining about? All of the movies have had like political satire," and I'm like, "Have they though?" Yep, maybe the second one because they were like lampooning like billionaire tech giants, and I guess the first one they were like lampooning rich people. I don't know. I don't know. I'm not going to think too hard about it because in the end, I did enjoy the movie going experience. And to me, this is a see it. It's an easy see it. Easily one of the best movies I watched in 2025.
Oh wow.
So
So
it
return to form then of what kind of
yes,
lost you in the second one.
100%.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say this is better than the first one, but I think it's definitely in league. I realize people who are listening to this episode would have already heard my 2025 ranking. That's
Yeah.
because that episode was taped before I watched this one.
Yeah.
But had I seen this movie before, this would have been in my top movie list of the year.
Yeah, and that's really good to hear because I've been back and forth on even watching it, but you've made me want to watch it now because if it's even closer to the first one, I'm much more interested in that than what the second one was. I honestly just ran out of time over the holidays to get to this one, but you've definitely convinced me to watch it.
Well, let me know if you do watch it, Mike, and if you enjoyed it.
Yeah, I will. So yeah, I saw Anaconda, uh, the 2025 remake
It's kind of a
of
meta one,
Anaconda.
right?
Yeah, it's kind of like one of those spiritual remakes where they're being very very clear that they're remaking it because the premise is that Paul Rudd and Jack Black are kind of failed, not really doing well artists. Like Jack Black's a filmmaker who basically just makes wedding videos.
Are they
And
not playing themselves?
no, they're playing other people. Like they're playing
Oh.
different people, but kind of yeah. Like Paul Rudd's playing very much an actor who's just failed
I thought,
in life, kind of thing.
Mike, this is like me trying to describe Song Sung Blues to Nicole over text, and I totally blew her mind. I thought the premise of this movie, I must have seen a clip from a promotional tour where they were like joking, or I
Mm.
literally just dreamt this. I thought the premise of this movie was that Jack Black and Paul Rudd were playing themselves and they have acquired the rights to Anaconda, and the movie was about them playing themselves, remaking Anaconda and trying to like pitch it to studios.
No, so what it's about? It's not. So yeah, Paul Rudd and Jack
Would
Black
that have
played.
made it a better movie?
No,
Uh,
like that premise you're saying is kind of what the movie is. They play best friends who, when
okay.
they were young, they loved movies like Anaconda. They loved those kinds of movies. That Jack Black when he was young used to just
Creature
make
features.
films, creature features. Like they used to just make horror films and action films and creature feature films like as kids. So this movie is about them grown up, where Paul Rudd's just an actor who's never done anything but bit roles on TV, doesn't really have much of a career, is struggling. Jack Black just makes these like movies for weddings and wedding announcement videos and that kind of thing, and like works for this company in I think it's Buffalo where they live, but like not a major city. And so it's just about Paul Rudd coming back and saying, like, listen, I've acquired the rights to Anaconda. I want you to direct it. Like, we should just do this for ourselves. And then they go off on an adventure to the Amazon to actually make the movie, and a real big anaconda snake goes after them. Is the premise? The
I don't know. The
problem.
premise is kind of fun.
Oh, the premise is great. That's where the goodness of this movie sort of ends, because this movie has no idea what it wants to be. It wasn't cheesy or over the top enough for the way the actors were trying to portray the characters. Like there were line reads in this, Taylor, that were atrociously bad. The acting was just so bad because no one knew what they were doing. Like, is
That's
this a
very
cheesy
that's
movie? Is this a comedy? Is this a drama? Is this an action movie? They had no idea what they were making.
which is shocking because Paul Rudd and Jack Black are two of the best comedic.
Yeah.
I don't mean to
I
overstate, but they truly are two of the best comedic actors.
I like them both as actors. Steve Zahn's in this as well, who's another like really good kind of character actor who's been in a million things. This should have worked. So again, I looked to direction, I looked to writing. This was a terribly written script. It had no idea what it was doing. Like movies like Tropic Thunder or other movies where it's like we're making something and then something goes wrong.
But it's kind
Like
of almost like a spoof. Like, isn't
yeah,
Tropic Thunder almost like spoofy?
right. And what happens is they're making a movie, and then the movie that they're trying to make basically comes to life in front of them because they're dumb actors. They don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
This is kind of like that, but it's not good. So Anaconda to me suffers from a couple things. One being the fact that there are better examples of that premise out there. And two, this sort of remake thing that they did, this is very similar to what they did with like Jumanji and 21 Jump Street. They remade something that was more of an action kind of thriller to be more of a comedy.
Right.
Those movies I just mentioned did it well. Anaconda wasn't funny. Like the only times I laughed were at things that were already in the trailer to begin with and weren't funny because of how well it was written. It was funny because of how it was said. Like there were moments where you could tell a couple people were like really trying to make something funny, but the writing just wasn't there. It just didn't work. Like I laughed out loud 3 times. 2 of them were in the trailer. One of them moments wasn't in the trailer, and it was just because of how ridiculous the line was said that it made me laugh. Otherwise, this movie's not funny. Its action is terrible. The CGI snake looks awful. The kills aren't interesting. They're almost passed over. Like something will happen and suddenly, like, oh, that person's dead, I guess. Like there's not enough substance to this movie to make it anything more than a skip it. I tried to justify maybe it could be an airplane it because it has moments, and even as I'm saying this, it doesn't. I was about to say it has moments where it's funny and interesting. That's not true. It just it's not boring to watch. Like there's the first 20 minutes is a little slow, and then once they get going, the pace really picks up. But it's just the pace picks up from moment to moment to moment with nothing there. Like this is one of the more surface movies that I think you could ever possibly see. Where there's if you think about it for more than 2 seconds, it's not going to stand up to scrutiny. It was atrociously bad at times. And I blame direction, execution, writing, because just like you just pointed out, with this cast, with the premise of the movie that you just said was really good, that I think's interesting, and with other examples of movies that have done it well, this should have worked and been delightful. And it just was nothing.
I'm just confused because, like, did Paul Rudd and Jack Black owe the director a favor? Like, it just doesn't make sense.
It might be one of those things where they did what you did. Oh, this premise sounds great.
Yeah, that'd be maybe Jack Black and Paul Rudd are friends in real life, which is what I just assume that. They're like, oh, this will be a fun movie to make together, but not realizing it just had really poor direction.
The director even did things that I've liked. Like the director did the unbearable weight of massive talent. Yeah,
great movie.
And that awkward moment, which I think is a really underrated movie. It's like a kind of also a coming of age bro comedy, but it's really really well done. Like it's kind of like a romance movie from the perspective of these 3 male friends. One of them's going through a breakup, etc. It's very well done. Miles Teller, Michael B. Jordan, that guy who hurt his face. This director, Zac Efron. Yes, thank you. This director. So you had a director that should have been able to do a good job. You had a premise that was solid, and you had really excellent actors, and yet it just didn't work. Like again, I want to be clear. The movie wasn't boring. It's just nothing really happened other than this was kind of the example of a popcorn movie, but less interesting.
How did it
go so wrong? Terrible writing. I think the script wasn't funny. There weren't really jokes or funny, interesting moments in it. Everything that's funny was in the trailer.
It was co-written by the director, Tom Gormican, and Kevin Etten, who is a writer for Workaholics, Scrubs, Desperate Housewives. So mostly
TV writer.
TV.
Yeah, and again, like this should have been pretty easy to nail this. And I think what I unfortunately will compare it to are other movies like 21 Jump Street, 22 Jump Street that are hilarious. Like
very good
hilarious. And this could have been a reboot that I think this is the way you're going to do it. If you want to reboot everything on the planet, give us a new spin, give us something different. By making it a comedy, this should have done well. But even the snake going after them creature feature stuff wasn't good. Like none of it was interesting. None of it was good. You never felt that the characters were under any real threat. You never really felt like they were being chased or stalked. There was no sense of urgency. There was no tension. And then there was also no comedy. So again, even though there's not a lot of tension and urgency in some of the other films I mentioned, Tropic Thunder was hilarious. Like seeing these actors try to deal with real life moments was hilarious. You didn't get that here. You just got them yelling, screaming, whatever. Like make it like they're in over their heads. Show us that they have no idea what they're doing. There was one little twist in the movie that kind of worked a little bit, but then they had two other twists that were just in there for no reason. Like you're just overcomplicating your movie for no purpose. So there's a simpler way to do this. There's a good movie that could have been there. It's a skip it all around for me.
A crummy way to end your 2020 twat. Whoa, 2025.
Well,
Whoa, my brain stopped working there.
that's
Or
all
my
right.
mouth.
That's all
The
right.
brain mouth connection kind of
Yeah.
stopped.
It's funny because I think you definitely summed up how I kind of felt after watching that movie. Was like, oh, okay.
Their brain
Like
mouth
that.
connection.
Yeah, like exactly like there's something between the brain and the rest of the body didn't quite function there. And what I will say is, even though we always talk a lot of negative things on the show, a couple episodes ago when we released our list of best and worst movies of the year, the movies that I thought were my best for the year were like really, really good movies. Like I actually think 2025 had some amazing movies out there. Like it was a good year in some ways for movies. There's just, I think, so many movies like Anaconda out there that are just, they kind of, even me, a big movie fan, they make me not excited to go to the movie theater again.
I feel like we're in a time where like you honestly don't know what you're gonna get. There used to be, I in high school, even university, going to the movies every week, every other week, whatever. Going to the movies a ton. Even if you went to a movie that was forgettable, it was still like a good experience. Like, sure, like the movie was fine. You know what I mean? I feel like there are no middle of the line movies anymore. Either the movies are like super good or like schlop. And I don't know if it's because the studios are doing like too much calculating in terms of like risk. And so like they're trying to, like doctor the scripts or like, we're going to give the audience what they want. Like we've crunched the algorithm. Like these are the things we have to include. But like it's just not working. And so when the movies are bad, they're really bad.
Yeah.
I feel like even to me, Airplane It is a little bit different than your Airplane It, Mike, but like we didn't have a lot of Airplane It's this year.
No, we really didn't. No, we
which
didn't.
are kind of where the middle, what these movies that I'm explaining, describing, the ones you would have seen in the 90s and 2000s, where they're not like cult classics by any means, but like you put it on and it's fine. It is what it is. It's serviceable. A lot of the movies from Movies in a Hat that we reviewed during the pandemic.
Oh yeah, that's a great example. Yeah, serviceable, fine movies here and there. Kind of, that's what the Airplane is. You're killing time, and it's nothing overly complex. It's nothing overly bad, but it's just something to throw on there. We get too many of those now, and I think it weighs on us a little bit. Like I find it to be a little like weighing. Like I kind of want something good. Like I remember saying very recently about like watching horror movies. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm always up for a horror movie, but please, I just want to find a good one. Like I'm just getting sick of really, really bad movies.
Nicole texted me. You always have to take, Nicole kind of sometimes gives Rex the way that Tyler Vance does. I think she'd be flattered by that and not offended. And she'll also be maybe ticked off because she texted me this yesterday and I haven't replied yet and I'm reading it on air. So she watched Frankenstein. She told me about that. She said it was so sad. She wasn't expecting that. But she recommended Shelby Oaks. Great little horror movie. Have you heard of this one, Mike?
I have heard of this one because this was a YouTuber, a relatively well-known YouTuber who has like a channel and does movie reviews. It's his movie. He wrote it. And apparently it's I've heard some mixed things about it, but for the most part it's primarily positive what I've heard. Nitpicky things that people had problems with, but I've actually heard good things as well. It's another one I wanted. It was on my short list of movies to get to over kind of the scary movie season. So yeah, I have heard about it. I've heard good things as well.
All right, so that's something to look forward to. Mike, do we have time for me to do song blue? I have to
I
say
would
it
say,
slowly.
yeah, I would say no. Let's leave
Okay.
that for a future episode.
I would say negative.
Negative. No time. I've got some editing and downloading to do. But before we go, even though I mentioned this at the beginning episode, but I want to keep bringing this up more because we do love our fan questions, Taylor.
Yes.
We are doing a fan question episode, a mailbag episode next week. If you're not familiar with how that works, Taylor, you and I don't review a movie. We don't come up with any topics ourselves, and we let the fans dictate where the conversation goes.
Yep.
So we're
You
gonna
just ask questions.
we're just going to answer your fan questions. So we've already taken fan questions. Unfortunately, the deadline has passed, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't write in if you want maybe a fan question answered, just in general for a future episode. You can always write in. You can go to soul1arts.ca and just go to the podcast tab, fill out the form there. Super simple. That will get right to us. You can ask your fan questions. We'll answer them on a future episode. But if you do write in between now and the 22nd and you're not on that episode, don't worry. You will get into a future one. We'll make sure of it.
Go see some movies.
Thank you for listening to You Had Me at Skip It, a Soul One Arts Inc. podcast. This podcast is produced by Mike Shepard and Austin Spinner Summer. It is a project of Soul One Arts Inc. To learn more about Soul One and all the great work that Soul One is doing in the arts community, especially in film, theater, and other performing arts, visit soul1arts.ca. You can contribute to this podcast by visiting soul1arts.ca and going to the podcast tab. You'll find all the information on You Had Me at Skip It and how you can get your questions read on air each week. Thank you again for listening.